Welcome back to some new malicious compliance stories, where people complied to the letter, but not the spirit of our request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Correct Invoices. I work as a manager in a food manufacturing factory, and we supply a big national company with the majority of their products. It's very rare that we can complete their order, but as everything is freshly handmade, there is the occasional hiccup. 2 weeks ago, a few items had split during cooking, so unfortunately we had to short them 2 full packets of a particular product. As I was on holiday that week, no one had thought to change the invoice before it was sent out, as that is usually my job. This isn't usually an issue. Mistakes can happen. I just usually credit back the error amount, apologize and be done with it. This company, however, has a beast of a Karen. When she saw the incorrect invoice, I received a very unprofessional email from her. She was demanding that I redo the invoice and that from now on I ensured the invoice has just the products they received on it. Okay Karen, not a problem. You see, we don't know what this company is going to order before we start production. My role is basically to do our best guess and fingers crossed we have enough ingredients. This obviously means we sometimes have product over. As we can't freeze the products and we don't want them to waste, we send the company everything we make, but we don't charge them for more than what they ordered. Well, I do now. Sorry, I forgot to take off that £15 from your £3,000 order. Here's your new invoice of £3,700 for all the products you did receive. I was very much expecting a very big backlash from Karen with some sort of rant about not paying for products they hadn't ordered, which would be fair to be honest, but I did not. She paid it. I figure I'll do another week's invoice with all the products on it just to let it sink in, and then think about going back to normal. The next story is called She Fell. I worked at the airport for nearly 13 years. We always changed shifts and co-workers every 6 to 12 months, depending on how lazy scheduling was with coordinating the shift bit. One bit I worked with this older woman, B. B was awesome. On this particular day it was just her and I. I was at the Mac and she was on the X-ray. Everyone else decided to go on break or just dip off. She had to run her back through again, but had no one to do it, so she did it herself. The next thing I hear is a scream, a thump, and a passenger yelling, "She fell." She had to go to the hospital, broke her wrist, and they wanted details on what happened, because where she fell was a blind spot on the camera. I told the lead, supervisor, and 2 managers that I didn't see anything, because I was on Mac. They didn't care, they wanted my report, so I gave them one. No one was available to do it, so she did it herself. I then heard a scream and a thump. One of the passengers shouted, "She fell." I didn't see anything, but something happened. As far as I know, it went into the official file for the injury claim. The third story is called Can't Clock Out. I work as a technician that does jobs in residential homes. We get several jobs on our routes at the beginning of the day. After we are done with the jobs, we send a message to our manager and the route service rep. If I am done early and another tech is running behind, they will send that job to me. If there are no jobs left to be covered, we are cleared and we can head back. We also work 4 10-hour shift days, with the option to pick up the 5th day for overtime and choose between half or a full day. I like picking up 5th days for a little extra overtime. On one of the days I picked up, I had a family dinner I didn't want to miss, so I made it a half day. It was a busy day and I didn't get to my last job till about 2:30. Lucky for me, the customer wasn't home, so the job had to be rescheduled. I messaged my manager and route service rep that I was done. I was cleared by the service rep, but not the manager. I didn't think much about it, since I was meant to be off 2 hours earlier. And they never add more jobs to you after your scheduled shift. So I just headed back to the office and clocked out and made it to my family dinner. The next day I worked, I opened my work phone to find a message from my manager an hour after I clocked out that day. "You are not allowed to clock out unless cleared by a manager." At first I thought I must have forgotten to add him to the message. I checked and no, I definitely added him and it shows that he saw the message. I took a screenshot of both messages. If I don't get cleared, I won't clock out. So every day since, I made sure I was cleared by a manager. Honestly, most of the time, all managers are really good at being on top of this. So I didn't think I would ever get to take advantage of this malicious compliance. But about a month later, I finally got my chance. On this fateful day it was busy, and it was winter, and we were getting some bad snow. I had several big jobs and was behind schedule. Finally, after finishing my last job at almost 8 PM, I messaged my manager. The same manager that gave me that rule, and the root service rep that I was done. I started heading back, wanting to get out of the snow and get home. I get home about 8:30 and I still wasn't cleared by my manager, so I didn't clock out. I messaged him again and asked him if he can clear me so I can clock out. No answer. I sat and debated how much I can milk this. After all, I do get paid hourly. Well, I didn't want to abuse it too much, so I ended up calling him just before 9. He picked up confused. I told him I'd been waiting for him to clear me. Still confused, he responded, "Yeah, of course I cleared." I reminded him that he instructed me not to clock out until after I was cleared by our manager. Then I thanked him, hung up, and noted in the message that I called the manager and was cleared. It's been several months since then. To this day, that manager still sticks to everything he says. And to this day, I still milk an extra 15 to 30 minutes of pay every time my manager forgets to clear me before I remind them. This story was sent to me via email from Paul. Thanks for sharing your story with us. First, I want to mention that Dell, and back when this occurred, Compaq, made the best you could get. Today, I still am a staunch Dell believer and have Dell PCs and an R420 server running in a harsh environment for 6 years now, in which case it's a hardware reliability issue. Onto the story. I was working Tier 3 level support as a contractor in a major drug company. Tier 1 is phone support. Tier 2 is desk side service. Tier 3 backs up Tier 2 and does deep level diagnostics, etc. For instance, I was solely responsible for the R&D lab issues as mission critical, as the FDA was there on a weekly basis. We had a user in another area with an important position that kept having Windows crash on their laptop and get buggered up. It got down to where they had to re-image the PC about once a week. At this level, in the corporate world, we would send crash dump files to Microsoft for analysis, but that was a dead end. I ran Dell diagnostics on the system, which found a number of bad hard drive sectors. Memory and CPU had also been tested and ruled out. In such situations, we usually pulled our memory and the CPU, blew out the contacts, and reseated them, which often could solve the problem. We had no luck there. I had my own diagnostic software from the Y2K thing that was very intensive. I ran it on the subject PC, which found many more bad HDD sectors than the Dell diagnostic software did. I contacted Dell about it as it was under warranty. I was a Dell certified tech at the time. They said if the diagnostic software didn't raise any flags, they couldn't replace the HDD and that my software wasn't recognized by them. So, being a former auto mechanic and warranty administrator, I knew what to do to make it a warranty situation. I took the HDD out of the laptop and slammed it on my desk until parts could be heard rolling around in it. I put it back in the laptop, ran Dell Diagnostics again, and what do you know? Dell's software reported it as having a failed HDD. I played their game and got a new HDD under warranty. The user had no problem after the HDD replacement. Problem solved. The last story is called Not Hiring. This happened several years ago. I was hired by a large company to supervise one of their departments. There was travel involved. Travel arrangements were made by the receptionist. I needed to travel across the country for a conference and gave the receptionist all the information she needed to make the travel arrangements. I knew that if you make flight arrangements ahead of time, the flights are cheaper than if you make them last minute. There was plenty of time to make the flight arrangements and get a lower fare. After a few days, when I hadn't received any confirmation from the receptionist, I would ask her about them. Nothing. Kept asking. Nothing. I was becoming concerned, as I didn't want to cause the company to pay extra because she didn't do her job. I became very frustrated, as it was now past the time to get the lower airfare. I expressed my frustration to my assistant, who immediately asked me for the conference information. She went ahead and made all my travel arrangements, but the airfare was very high. The company I worked for closed a few years later. My assistant and I had worked so well together that we opened our own business. My partner was sitting at the front desk that faced the parking lot. I came in from the back and see the former receptionist walking away. I asked my partner what she wanted. She was looking for a job. Sorry, not hiring. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.